everybody, I'm Jean-Luc.
I'm Nick.
And we're the WW Gays.
And today we're in the kitchen again.
Once again, but guess what we're using? Instapot. And it's not going to be a complicated recipe, but I've now adapted my quinoa recipe to cooking it in the Instapot, and it takes 15 minutes.
And what's cool is that a lot of people love our original quinoa recipe, the ones that we bake in the oven. So if you guys still want to try the recipe, use it. It still works really well.
Baking it works well.
But this works just as well.
Just as well. It actually makes it fluffy. Like it really stays fluffy.
And that's time.
And 15 minutes instead of like 45 minutes to 50 minutes in the oven. So I'm gonna start off pretty easy. It's actually, I had to play around with the recipe in the Instapot. The ratio normally is 4 cups of broth. Yeah, you double the amount of broth to the amount of dry you want to put in. So if you're wanting to cook 2 cups of quinoa, you have to put 4 cups of broth. However, in the Instapot, I tried it a few different ways and I didn't like that ratio. It didn't work for me. It was too gummy. It was too wet. So I finally was able to figure out that it's 4 cups of broth to 2.5 cups of quinoa. So I'm actually adding an extra half cup. And every time I've done it so far, it's turned out perfectly. So it's gonna be pretty simple. I'm gonna take some broth. I make my own sometimes, but this time I don't. I just have very little bit of my own broth that I'm gonna use, might as well. I strained out all the spices and everything. So it's just clear broth. And I'm adding President's Choice Blue Menu broth, chicken broth, and I'm adding 4 cups. So I've got 2 cups here.
So the quinoa we buy at Bulk Barn. We prefer the Bulk Barn kind because it's always worked for us. We had no issues baking it. It works really well in the Instapot as well. And a lot of people ask us and they say, you guys don't rinse your quinoa? We never have. A lot of people say they don't like it because it's a bitter taste, but we love the taste of quinoa. So for us, we just leave it as is. But of course, if you've been rinsing your quinoa ahead of time and you've always been doing this, of course, rinse it before you make it in the Instapot as well.
Exactly.
So I'm putting 2.5 cups of quinoa in here.
You are.
So that's 1 cup.
And then I'm adding the next 4 cups. And you don't have to layer this at all. I usually put all the broth in first, and then I put in the 2.5 cups of quinoa.
2.5.
And I like taking the actual crock pot spoon to stir, so that way you're not scratching the Instapot. You're not scratching the bottom of the pot. So to this now, I like to spice it up. There's one thing I did forget. You want to grab the fresh garlic for me?
Yeah.
Well, the minced garlic, I should say. It's in we buy a jar of it. So I'm putting in some garlic plus, and again, I didn't measure. There's a little bit at the bottom of this, so I put all of it in. Reason being is when you're putting these seasons in, they really get absorbed. So it still tastes good if you eat it right from the pot. But we re-season our quinoa as we're recooking it and revamping it every single time.
So whatever spices you use, you don't end up tasting all of them. So the more you put, the more the taste is predominant.
Again,
these are all ones that we're using ourselves. You can use any spices that you prefer to make your quinoa.
This is a chicken spice. It's salt-free. So for those of you who are watching your sodium intake, we also have roasted red pepper garlic, which is one of our favorites. And again, I don't go in and throw a lot in. I just add it just to add a little bit more flavor. And then I'm putting in our famous maple bacon because it's my favorite, which is the maple bacon right there. And today, just to be different,
some curry powder.
I have some curry powder. So I'm gonna add this curry powder. And again, yeah, I saw that. Don't be afraid to add these spices because they're just going to get absorbed into the quinoa. So you might want to re-season it again, or it might be the perfect consistency and the perfect flavor for you. So you need to gauge that on your own because everybody's flavor palette is very, very different. We find this garlic here, we love this garlic. It's chopped garlic from
we bought it in Windsor. Garlic Canada.
Yeah, but we bought it in Windsor at a grocery store. No, not the European, the one in front of my mom's. It's the, can't remember the name of the place. It doesn't really matter, but it's in Windsor. It's a fresh market that my mom has right in front of her condo. So I put 2 tablespoons of that, and again, it's garlic, so I don't really measure or count the points for that.
I'm just mixing.
He stirs. So then we're going to take our Instapot lid. These are always fun to put on. It took us a while to figure out how to do this. And there we go. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm now going to go put it on. I'm going to make sure the valve is closed because you want to make sure that it's on sealing because that seals the entire compartment where your quinoa is being cooked. I'm now going to then put it on steam, and I'm gonna put it up to 15 minutes. And there we go, we just let it sit there for 15 minutes.
So now we'll let it start. We'll let it steam, and then once it's done, we will come back.
We'll come back and show you what it looks like. And the quinoa is done. So now, basically, we have to depressurize the machine. So when you went from sealing, now you have to flip this to venting. And I recommend you wearing a glove because
it's
all
really
the steam, and you can smell that quinoa right now. Oh my goodness, you can smell the curry powder.
Of course the door was open.
Of course the door was open. I'm cooking at the same time. I'm making multiple things. What can I say? So basically what you have to do is you have to wait till this, there's a little nozzle, like not even a nozzle, but a
metal knob.
Pishnut, as we call it in French.
A metal knob.
There's a little thing that raises, and it actually will lower once it decompresses, or decompresses. And this takes just a few minutes, but again, always put a mitten on because you don't want a steam burn. Steam burns are terrible. They hurt a lot. I have a cousin of mine had a steam burn, so.
I feel like we need to dance while we wait for this thing.
That's the sound of the quinoa cooking in the crock and the Instapot.
You really keep on saying
I know. I always want to say crock pot, but it's not. It's an Instapot. You just heard it go tick. So basically, all we do now is open and look at that. Look at that, honey. I'm a little steamy over here.
So this is the quinoa.
That
so you
comes
can
out.
see right here, the quinoa comes out. It's perfect. So we usually make our quinoa ahead of time, like we always say. We always try to make a batch so that we have it ready whenever we want to have quinoa for dinner. So that's why we always make 2.5 cups, so we always have extra. But
yeah,
you guys
because
can
we only serve ourselves anywhere between a half cup to a full cup per serving when we're having dinner.
So that's basically it, guys. So if you guys try this recipe, you have other ways to cook quinoa, comment below. Let us know how much you like it. Share and like the recipe and let other people know about it so that other people can enjoy quinoa as much as we do. Because you guys know we love quinoa.
I can't lie.
We're big quinoa fans.
I want to try it.
And you can find us on all social media using hashtag WWGays, and you can find us on our website, www.gays.com.
I'm going to try some.
Okay, I love it. I'm going to try it too.
I love it. I love quinoa. I can say this, I prefer quinoa than rice.
I do too.
I love the consistency of it.
So good. And so much better for you.
So much more filling. So much more filling. Anyways, bye guys.
Bye.
I can't wait to have some.